Alright, what's up guys, Azura here, and today I'm here to give you guys my thoughts about my first impression of set 4? 4, yes, 4. Alright, set 4 gave us support for 6 clans, a little sprinkles of support for Shadows and Link Joker. The Try 3 got all the new bosses, and Annual Feather got added to the game in the sense of they finally got their G support, so I'll go over all of them, give you my thoughts on all the cards. So I'm just gonna start with the clans that got the least support, not support first. So Shadow. So actually, before I even get to the cards, I'm just gonna briefly glance over all the witch cards, all of these cards, like the Fianna cards. These cards, as of this month, got changed so that they rip any trigger out of the deck. So that includes the grade zeros. So like heal cards, for example. So pretty nice buff. I don't know if this will make the deck actually good or not, but it definitely helps that this deck can actually rip cards out of the deck now as intended. So just something to note there. As for actual cards, the starter's pretty relevant. They got a triple rare PG, being a filtered PG. So this card's skill is if you use this card's PG, if you use this card's PG, and then if you have another copy that's in your drop zone when you use the PG, at the start of a turn you get a filter, you get to draw one, drop one. I don't think these are better than the counter PGs at all. So just something to note. Maybe some clan in the future will play them, but at the moment, you're in Shadow specifically, you're definitely not playing this over the counter PG. But just something to note. It's cool. It's triple RPG, I guess, but it's not that good. Claire got some few cards. They're like okay. This is when other cards retire, you can countercharge one. It's cool. This card can do multi attacks when retired. Because when this card gets retired, you can call this grade 1 from deck. It's pretty cool, I guess. But kind of whatever, because Claire's a deck is still whatever. They ain't gonna you relevant grade 3s or anything. This is just the rank 4 art for Claire, so if you know what this is, looks okay, I guess. But more importantly, the most relevant card that Shadows got from this set was Doomed. The Aura Guides are Doomed. Its skill is once per turn, CB1, G Persona, or not G Persona, flip anything. So if you don't know, this card in TCG required you to flip specifically Aura Geyser, so the GR from the previous set. But this card now lets you flip anything you want. So that's definitely a very nice. I guess it is technically a buff, but just really nice that lets you flip anything now, so you don't have to actually own a bunch of copies of Aura Geyser and stuff like that. Although granted, that means that you still need copies of Aura Geyser and face up in your G to get the maximum effect of this card. So it's nice that you can use it without having to flip the Aura Geyser, but to get the full effect, you do need the Aura Geyser. So its skill is GB1 or GB2, sorry, GB2 CB1, flip anything, and then retire 3 rears to check the top 2 cards of your deck and add them to hand. Then, if you have actually, let me pull this. I don't remember the full effect of this. Let's give me a quick second. There you go. Reveal the top 2 cards on your hand. If your G zone has 1 or more face-up Aura Geysers, or the original Aura Geysers, not this card. This card. If you have 1 or more face-up, you can choose one of your opponent's rear guards and retire them per grade 1 or lower card revealed. So grade 1 or grade 0s. Then, if you have 3 or more face-up Aura Geysers in your G zone, he gets a crit as well. So, I'll break this down. So, CB1. So, if you don't have any copies of Aura Geyser and you just have Doomed, this card essentially reads CB1, flip anything, retire 3, draw 2, basically. But if you have 1 face-up in your G zone, so it's just so you have 1 face-up in your G zone, you get to retire per grade 1 or lower revealed, and you have 3, you get to get a crit as well. So, what this usually goes is something like you stride Aura Geyser first. Aura Geyser is a persona flip, so Aura Geyser flips the Aura Geyser. That's 2 face up. And then when you use its skill, you flip another Aura Geyser to get the retire off. So, or to get the crit as well as the retire and all that. So that's usually how it goes. So you don't need Aura Geyser for this card to work, but for this card to be good, you need like at least 3 Aura Geysers. So yeah. Overall, this card is okay. It's cool to have in the deck, I guess. Not amazing, not terrible. Claire as a deck still kind of sucks. This card definitely did not save that deck at all whatsoever, but what can you do with this card? But this card, stand alone, is a pretty solid card. Also really helps that Aura Geyser itself is also a good card, so yeah. So that's really it for Shadows. Overall, Revengers might play like a copy or 2 of Doomed. Claire as a deck still fucking sucks, so yeah. And Witches might have potential just because they got buffed, so yeah. So there's that. Next off, Link Joker. They also got basically no cards. Grade 1. There was a bunch of deleter support in here. Like there's a bit of deleter support, a bit of in like 2-3 cards from Messiah. Deleter stuff is kind of whatever. It's okay, I guess. But the relevant stuff is the Messiah stuff. So The Dark Metal Chameleon, I think, its skill is GB1. When this card is unlocked, you can countercharge one, so that's pretty cool. But the important thing that I like about this card is that it has resist. Just having resist means this card basically stays on the board forever unless it's like a full board removal, so pretty nice. I think this card might have some potential in the deck. Pretty good just because it has resist. The resist is never a bad thing, so this card is a pretty nice double rare. No new grade 2s unfortunately, so yeah, it kind of sucks. I was really hoping they'd port like something over early so we could have an extra something that can lock itself, just like the Arrestor, but what can you do? Grade 3s, nothing relevant for Messiah. Deleter's got the Mixed Deleter Chaos, I think the name of this card. Chaos or something. His skill is on ride, CB2, discard 2 Deleters, delete your opponent's Vanguard, and lock 2. So this thing doesn't have the make your opponent discard and start to re-ride skill, so that kind of sucks, but you do get 2 locks off of this, which is pretty cool. So overall, it's an okay card, I think. I don't think it's amazing. You might play it, you might not play it, but it's just kind of there. Deleter's got one of their stand triggers, pretty good card. And for Strides, they got the Exelix Messiah, so this thing is basically just an upgraded version of the Amnesty Messiah. This card's skill is GB2. When this unit attacks the Vanguard, CB1 flip anything. Again, just like the Doomed in the TCG, this card forced you to flip an Amnesty, but to get the full maximum effect of this card, you do need face up Amnesty. So this card might as well read flip Amnesty, but this card's skill is CB1, G Persona flip, unlock. When this unit attacks the Vanguard, CB1 flip anything to unlock any number of your locked cards. And then this unit gets plus 3k per card unlocked with this effect. And if your G-Zone has 2 more face-up copies of Amnesty Messiah, all of your opponent's cards that got unlocked with this effect gets retired, and this unit gets this unit gets a crit. Right. Actually, let me just go over that again. Sorry. So CB1 on this unit attacks Vanguard, CB1. Flip anything, unlock any number of locked cards. All of your unlocked cards get 3k power per. All of your rears that got unlocked by this effect get plus 3k power. So, unlike the Amnesty, it no longer gets power. Your rears get the power instead. And then, if your G-Zone has 2 or more face-up copies of the Amnesty Messiah, you retire all of your opponent's unlocked cards with this effect, and this unit gets a crit. So basically, the change between this and the Amnesty is that Exelix no longer itself gets the power now. Your rears get the power, and all your opponent's cards get retired instead of just being unlocked. So pretty good card. I'd say pretty good card. It lets you scale your rears for potential multi-attacks to actually hit now. Retiring your opponent's stuff is always good too. The only issue is this card requires a lot of G-Zone space, and I think Big Crunch is still a 4-of in this deck, so realistically speaking, I only see this card as a 1-of in the deck. It's a nice option to have as a 1-of, but I still only see this card as a 1-of, so yeah, there's that. Overall, the Messiah stuff, it's okay. Exelix is a pretty neat addition to the deck, but nothing particularly amazing. And now we'll get on to the actual deck that got like a bunch of support. First, I'll go over Royal Paladin. So Royals got no new starter, no relevant starter at least. They got the Jump Gold. This card's not very good. Very cute doggo, but not a very good card, unfortunately. Grade 1s, they got this card's okay. The Battle Song Angel, GB1. If you have 2 or more other grade 1 or lower rear guards, this unit gets plus 2k and resist. So pretty nice as a resist, but this card basically requires you to have a full back row, and that's kind of really hard. So I've been playing it. It's okay. It's not terrible, not amazing. It does its job as a booster. It's basically the same thing as Pierre. It's a 9k booster. It's okay. Not terrible, not amazing. Grade 2s, they did get some new cards. Mainly one new card, at least. They got the Bellinus. So his skill is GB1 on place. If your Vanguard is a grade 3 or higher alt mile, you can Soul Blast 1, Counter Blast 1 to call any grade 2 from deck except a copy of itself, and he gains plus 2k. Not the unit you call it, the unit he himself gets plus 2k. So this card can help you get like bigger columns on your blade turns and stuff like that. Basically, the difference between this and the Violinist is that this lets you scale better late game and is a 9k base and can swing for 11k solo, while the Violinist itself is only an 8k base but can be used early in the early game. Right now I'm trying Violinist. It's fine for what it is. Sometimes I wish I had Violinist just because I only use it early, but for the most part, I'd say overall this card's probably a little better just because the scale is better into the late game, as opposed to something like Violinist, which is unfortunately only an 8K base and doesn't get any power to itself. So yeah, I think the choice between these two comes down to preference, but at the moment I'm leaning towards the Bellinist over the Starlight Violinist. In grade 3s, they got nothing, more or less. This card's okay though. I have no idea what this dude's name is, but this card is okay. His skill is GB1 with using attacks of Vanguard. You can Soul Blast 1, Counter Blast 1 to call a grade 2 from deck. The reason why this card is good because this card, if your opponent's at 5, this is actually 3 attacks to face because you can go, assuming double limits, you go rear to rear, rear to rear. This thing attacks Vanguard. Use skill to cause a Twin Sword, and then Twin Sword can reset your other column as well. So, neat finisher this deck has in a re-ride basically, but for the most part, if you have this, you can stride, meaning you can probably end the game with your strides instead, because aerial alt mod is a pretty good stride. So yeah, it's a cool option to end games with, I guess. But other than that, it's just kind of there. Not amazing, not terrible. No relevant triggers to talk about. In G Zone, they got a Sank card. This card's terrible. I don't even know what it does. I just know it's not good. But the card that is good is the Aerial Alt Mile. So his skill is during your turn, all your front row units get plus 3k, or I guess it doesn't matter if it's your turn or not, because this thing's only a stride, so it won't be on the board forever. So your front row gets plus 3k, and then GB2 on stride G Persona flip. Unfortunate, but it is what it is. It is free other than the flip. To search your deck to call any grade 2 and get plus 5k power. So this card can tutor you spirits. It can tutor you a Twin Sword. More often than not, this thing's tutoring a spirit. You can tutor you a Bellinist into a Twin Sword. So or Bellinist into Twin Sword into spirit, whatever. Really good card. Just being able to tutor anything you want from your deck is pretty nice. You can tutor tires and tutor multi attacks. It's a very, very nice card. So yeah, that's all Royals got actually. Basically like 3 relevant cards. But 2 out of 3 of those cards are very nice additions to the deck. I mean the Bellinist and Aerial Alt Mile. I do think Alt Mile now exists as a deck. I think it is actually pretty nice now with the Aerial Alt Mile. I've been playing it myself. I think this deck is actually pretty solid. Not like broken or anything, but it's a very solid deck because just being able to tutor grade 2s, just being able to tutor grade 2s like this is pretty good in game like 0 because grade 2s are intercepts. And this thing being able to just make all your columns really fat as well as also your scale would be really good. So definitely a pretty solid deck now, I think. I don't think it's like definitely not game breaking or anything, but definitely a very solid deck. So that's it for Royals. Next up we have Gear Chronicle. I'll do Gears first. This deck did get a few cards as well, and I do think this deck has actually got a lot better with the 2 cards we got. So first off, they did get one notable grade 1 in my opinion, the Erningen. His skill is once per turn, when your opponent's card is bot decked during your main phase. Unfortunately, it's main phase only, so you can't proc this off of a Jet Stride bonus. You get to, and your grade 3 is a grade 3 high chrono jet, so to counter charge one. So basically, how this card works is because it's main phase only, the only cards that can proc this are Glimmer Breath and Relic Master off the top of my head. Those are the 2 main ways you can proc the counter charge off of this. It's like that it's free, which is what I like about it. So yeah, definitely a very playable card. I'm definitely playing this card right now. I think it's pretty nice for what it does. It turns Relic Master into an actual good card too, because it becomes CB1 instead. If you have 2, it's free. So yeah. So that's it for grade 1s. Grade 2s, they got one really relevant grade 2 being the Upstream Dragon. So its skill is GB1. This unit attacks the Vanguard. You can have this unit get plus 4k. So it's optional. You don't have to use it. And the reason why this is important is because if you do choose to gain the plus 4k, this unit gets and after it battles, it goes back into your deck and you call your deck for any grade 1 a stand. So you can use this to set up the Erningen. You can use this to set up GGs, so whatever grade 1 you want. And because it's optional to get the power, you can just choose not to do it, because if you get the power, this thing has to go back to the bottom, has to go back to your deck. So just be wary of that. If you want to keep the intercept, you don't use the skill. But this card, just being a solo attacker as well as being a step for next turn, is I think it's a pretty good card, especially in tandem with something like Fate Rider, letting you change that grade 2 that you grabbed off of this back into a grade 2 in the following turn. It's definitely really nice. So I definitely think this card may not look really good on paper, but when you actually play this card, I actually really like this card. This card is a card that I'm playing at 4 right now, and I think this card is actually really good. So definitely a very good inclusion for the deck. In grade 3s, yours actually did get one relevant grade 3. They got the Steam Fighter Bally. So has a rear guard skill, kind of relevant just because you have a Potchmaker that can call this for the multi-attack off that Potchmaker. So Rearguard skill, GB1, unit stack hits a Vanguard. CB1 to bot deck when your opponent's front row rearguard, so you can bot deck grade 1s in the front, grade 3s in the front, so it's there. Not that relevant, but it's there. But the reason why this card is good is because this card has its other skill where Vanguard Circle, when your G unit strides on top of this card, your G unit gets the skill. Once per turn, CB1, search your deck for a Chrono Jet Dragon from your deck and put it in and place it as your heart, and then this card goes back to the bottom of your deck. So this card is your heart fixer, your ride fixer, what do you want to call this card? This card basically reads, you are 4 more copies I am 4 more copies of Chrono Jet, which is the only Vanguard this deck ever wants to be on, so definitely nice that this deck now has access to 8 copies of Chrono Jet, because your other 4 of grade 3 beforehand was like filler anyway, so definitely a very, very good inclusion in the deck. I think this card is probably the best card for gears of this deck. Just having access to 4 extra cards of Chrono Jet is amazing for this deck. As for triggers, they got a stand, things are terrible. And finally, the G unit that they got was Chrono Dragon Next Stage. Everyone typed this card as the cover unit of the set. But personally, I don't think this card is particularly amazing. I do think it has a role in the deck. I do think it is a card that you're definitely going to be playing, but it is definitely not like broken or anything like that. Its skill is GB2. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, or after this unit attacks a Vanguard, I think. Let me just make sure. Yeah, at the end of this unit attack the Vanguard, if your heart is a Chrono Jet, you can CB1 G Persona flip and discard 3 cards to put this card back into your G zone face up, and you stand your heart and then draw 2. So this card basically is a restander, just a very different way of going about it, because instead of standing itself, it just goes back to the G zone and then it stands your heart, meaning the Chrono Jet Dragon. And the reason why this is good is because Chrono Jet has its GB2 guard restrict, meaning your restand hit is now swinging with the guard restrict on it. So that's pretty good. So yeah, the reason why this card isn't that amazing just because it's discard 3. Discard 3 and 0 is very harsh as a cost. And although you do draw 2 back, you have to make sure you have the ability to play out on board and have 3 cards discard that are ideally not guards. So yeah, so that's the mainly awkward thing about it, is that discard 3 is kind of really harsh cost, but you do go into this card every once in a while in the game. You definitely don't go into it every game, but it does come up this card. And it's a very good finisher because even if you don't kill your opponent with this, you still probably have to a bunch of cards out of their hand. It's just assuming they're at 5, you Jet Split, Stride Bonus, probably Blackjack and Intercept. Let's just assume you couldn't clear the other one, so you go rear to rear. 1 rear swings, probably checks for a heal guard. Vanguard swings, checks for a PG because next stage is 26. You use the skill and you re-stand the Chrono Jet, and then Jet swings ideally with a booster. And that if they guard and they don't have assuming you're hitting over heal guard threshold, the Jet will check for a PG and a heal and a grade 3 because of its guard restrict. So you did rip out like 4 cards out of your opponent's hand in 1 turn, which is pretty nice. So definitely not a bad card by any means. I'm not gonna call it bad or anything, but it is definitely not a card you're gonna be able to resolve more than once a game, just because of the heavy discard cost. But overall, I think Gears with the few cards that they did get, the grade 1, the grade 2, the grade 3, and the Stride, I think this deck is definitely a very powerful deck now. Definitely got some nice, much needed improvements in the main deck and the G zone. So yeah, definitely a very good deck. I think the deck's actually really good now. So yeah. And next off, the last try-through clan, Neo Nectar. I personally have not played this clan just because I don't have any of it, and I don't think I've run into any of them either. But this deck did get some pretty okay cards, I think. Grade 1, nothing. Grade 2s, they got the Maiden of something. I just call it the Pot of Freed. Maiden of Lost Memory. Its skill is GB1 is reduced to attack hits the Vanguard. You can CB2 to draw 1 card per copy of a card on your board the same name as this card. So if you have if you have this card plus 3 more copies of this card on the board, or 3 copies of something else that can copy name of this card, you can draw like 5 cards off your deck if you really wanted to. So that's why I call the Pot Grade. Pretty good card. And then if you have another unit with the same name as this card, you unflip 1 as well. So this card basically reads CB1 all the time. So definitely a very good card. Draws you a bunch of cards. Really nice. This card's okay too. The Maiden, Flower Chamber Maiden, Saliana. On place, if your Vanguard is grade 3 or higher, Ranunculus, so Asha. Soul Blast 1, Counter Blast 1, and call a card from your deck with the same name as your other rear guard, and that unit gets plus 2k. And this unit gets plus 2k until end of turn. So okay, you can call extra copies of cards from your deck. Unfortunately, can't call itself, so you have to have something else. But the fact that this card is an intercept is kind of awkward because if you already have another intercept and you play this card down, where you put in the intercept, right? Put it in the back for next turn, I guess. But I can see myself playing this card. Doesn't look amazing or anything, but it's probably pretty playable. Grade 3, they got this card, the Maiden of Flower Pistol. GB1, when your other rearguard is placed, this unit also becomes the same name as that unit until end of turn and has resist. So if you have this card, you just leave it in the back row, and then if you call down the Maiden of Lost Memory, this card becomes a the grade 3 becomes a copies the name of that card, and that's an extra draw you can get off of the Maiden of Lost Memory. So pretty nice there. And finally, the most important card that this deck got was the Asha, the Dream Spinning Ranunculus Asha. You can see only one of us, that's why I've been playing this deck. So this card is pretty okay. At the start of your battle phase, if you have a rearguard with the same name, okay, this is some really weird wording. At the start of your battle phase, if you have a rearguard with the same name as it, all of your front units gets plus 5k. So basically, if you have 2 rearguards with the same name, your entire front row gets plus 5k. And then GB2, G Persona Blast, so flip card wave itself. To call a card with the same name as your rearguard from your deck, and that unit gets plus 2k and can attack from the back row. So this deck now has access to easy 4 attacks, so that's pretty good. But that's about all it is. It gives you access to 4 attacks, your front row is pretty big too. Overall, I think this deck is playable now. Don't think it's amazing or anything. Definitely still has issues. The Maiden of Lost Memory seems pretty good. The Dream Spinning Asha is pretty good. So definitely don't think this deck is amazing or anything, but it's probably definitely in like the playable tier of decks now. So yeah. And I think was that it? Oh no! Finally we have Angel Feather. I also have not played this deck because I don't have a lot of the cards, but first impressions lead me to believe that Celestials are probably a better build, not Gabrielle, but I'll go over all the new cards regardless. Starter kind of sucks because you have a Sunny Smile. Grade 1s, we got this card's okay, I guess. I have no idea a robot. I have no idea what this card's name is, but this card is a GB1. When your rear other than itself is placed into your damage zone, CB2 calls up from damage zone, and then put a card back from damage zone to your drop. Put a card off the top of your deck to your damage zone. So this is like a grade 1 copy of the what's her face of the Danielle. So okay, card you might play, you might not play it, who knows. And then next up for grade 2s, we have Harut. This is the Amber clone, as people call it, or the it's called like Twin Sword clone, whatever, because you don't actually play fucking Amber. But her skill is when this unit attacks a Vanguard and is boosted, CB1 check top 3, put a card from among them to your damage zone, and call a card from your damage zone. Oh my god! When this unit is boosted, CB1 check top 3, call check top 3 of your cards in your deck to put into your damage zone, and call one from among them to your board. And then the card you've called is face down. You put turn the card you put in your damage zone face down as well. So this is a way to enable multi attacks. Pretty good. Getting to slap an extra card in your zone just to add extra call targets is pretty nice too. So yeah, you definitely play this card. This card is probably definitely a 4 in the deck. So yeah, pretty nice. Next up we have this card, the Medical Bomber Nurse. This is just a GB1 version of Danielle. If you have Danielle's, you don't even look at this card. This card is just a strictly worse Danielle in every way. But if you're like me and you don't own Danielle's, this card is probably what you play. So if you know what this card's skill is, GB1, when a card other than itself is put into your damage zone, CB2 call itself from deck, and then you put a card from your deck to your damage, or call itself from damage zone, and then put a card on top of your deck into your damage zone. So this card is literally just a strictly worse Danielle in every way. But if you're like me, you don't have it, you are playing that card. This card, the Nurse of Broken Heart, not very good in 0 just because of just an intercept, so it's kind of awkward like that. When a card's put into your damage zone, this unit and your Vanguard gets plus 2k. So it might work if it was if it might work if you put it in the back row, but that's kind of awkward just because if one can die, and for 2, it's an intercept in the back row, you'd rather be in the front. And next off, we have this really bad card, the Sunlight Unicorn, I think, or Streamlight Unicorn. This card has on play CB2 heal 1. Seems pretty good, right? And then you read the other skill. When this card leaves the rearguard circle, put the top card of your deck into your damage zone, and has resist. So what you're supposed to do with this card is you CB2 heal and leave it in the back row, or leave it behind your Vanguard and just never dies, and just you basically this card became a CB2 heal. But you gotta remember, there are some cards that can get this card off the board without targeting it. So something like Chronos Command, Upheaval, I mean all the gear cards, but it's basically like any card that can get this card off the board without targeting it. You this card off the board and they take damage. So yeah, I think this card's terrible. Don't play. I think this card's absolute bait. This card is just not good. Also because this card basically cannot be an intercept, because if you leave it in the front and it dies, you take a damage back for it. So yeah, I think this card is terrible. Do not play this card. Grade 3s, Gabrielle, there's the face of Angel Feather for G. Her skill is GB2. When your card is put into your damage zone, this unit gets the fallen ability until end of turn. All your front range gets plus 2k. So every time you take a damage, this card gets plus 2k. It's pretty cool. And then her stride bonus is when your G unit strides, CB1, check top 3. Put a card from among them into your damage zone and call a card from your damage zone. If you call the card face down, the card that you put in is also face down. So, okay, stride bonus, but the issue for me is that Gabrielle is not a Celestial, and in my opinion, the best first stride to go into is the Fighters Collection Celestial Stride. So, that's personally why I don't think why I think Celestials are the superior deck. But Gabrielle as a card itself is actually just not that bad either. So. Definitely nice to have. I'll probably be the next rank award, I guess. So no reason to craft this card or anything. So yeah. But overall, still a pretty solid card. The Strider crits. Refros is, I know it's really good in TCG, but this card's kind of not that as good in Zero, because it got nerfed. It's a hard one per turn now. So that's kind of whatever. You might play like a Wana, but I don't think this card's particularly good. And finally, for the G zone, your best ride, the GR is the Raphael. GB2 once per turn, G Persona flip, heal 1. It's just the heal 1. Healing is pretty good in this game, so definitely a pretty good try. If you want to play Angel Feather, you're definitely playing 4 of this card, without a doubt. You definitely need 4 of this card. Overall, Angel Feather, it looks really annoying to play against. But that's about it. I don't think this card in particular is going to be that amazing, just because you're still lacking a lot of offensive pressure. But I'm sure if you have 4 Raphaels, you can just play a game of Never Dying, and since in my opinion, of course, I think Celestials is better, and Celestials have access to Legion, mean you can just not die for a long time. So yeah, seems okay. Doesn't look terrible. Doesn't look amazing. But my overall thoughts of this set, I think this set is okay, not terrible, not amazing. Question mark. If you're a Gear or Royal Paladin player, you definitely need to open this set for some copies of Next Stage or Area Alt Mile. Same with Asha, but I think Asha is a little worse than those 2 decks. Obviously, if you're an Angel Feather player, you'd open this set because all your cards are in here. But overall, I don't think this set's gonna like warp the meta or anything like that. I still do think the old, as of right now, at least, I do still think that all the old decks are probably still the better decks than these. If anything, I think Gears have potential to be a really good deck now. Aerial Alt Mile has potential to be a pretty good deck, but that's about it. Messiah got like basically 1 card, so it doesn't change that much, but yeah. Solid set, not amazing, not terrible, could be better, could be worse. But that is my overall thoughts of the set. Let me know down below in the comments what you guys think about this set, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.